Well, once again, I have the need for speed. Now previously, I designed these 3D printed valves that fit onto standard LEGO engine cylinders to turn them into fully functional air-powered engines, like this V8. And near the end of my experiments, I arrived at this simple, more compact design with a rubber leaf valve that got some pretty crazy speeds. But as good as this was, there's some crucial ways in which I think I can improve it even more. So today, I'm going to try and refine my design and see if we can combine them into a 2-cylinder and even a 4-cylinder configuration for extra torque. If you'd like to print my designs for yourself, you can use the links in my description. And of course, we also need to see if they can actually power something real, so we'll send the power through a clutch to a generator to allow us to really use their speed. And of course, at the end, we'll try an all-out speed test. Just how fast can we get these things to actually run? So, what makes me think my old design needs an overhaul? Well, this is my old engine that I resurrected from my drawer of random lubed up contraptions that I try to keep separate so they don't make everything else sticky.
What if I add a small amount of weight to the flywheel?
And as you can see here, it's not doing so hot anymore. She used to purr like this. But now, looking at the tachometer, we're barely getting 1500 RPM. Well, my first thought is maybe she's thirsty and just wants a bit more lube.
Well, the piston head still seems to be in great condition. I wonder if the O-ring is now not making great contact with the cylinder. Could be that the Teflon tape underneath it is degraded a little.
And speaking of Teflon tape, my old design was a real pain to wrap tape under each O-ring, so my new design will certainly need to be quicker and easier to use new piston heads. So after a full breakdown and lubing everything up again, let's see if she runs any better. Huh, weird. It looks like it's seesawing back and forth now. Now it doesn't even run.
Well, I don't know for sure what's wrong with this thing, but clearly these pistons need some optimization.
Well, this is what my old piston head looked like, and this is my new piston head. This one uses some much smaller O-rings, but we're using 2 of them, which dramatically improves the seal without increasing friction. And these ones I've designed to not even need any real sanding. Just take a couple of 9x7x1mm O-rings and snap them onto the piston head. They're not very tight, so with some lube, they fit with very little friction and make an excellent seal when under pressure.
Beautiful.
So let's try out this new piston head in a single piston engine config to see how it runs. And we'll go for a nice low sub 40 psi.
Let's see how she does.
Wow, this is a major improvement. It's not screaming fast, but at least the new piston head design is super easy to make and runs smoothly. Torque isn't amazing though, and feels like it might stall if I try and hold it. Okay, well the next major improvement is simply airflow. My previous valve hats used 2mm hoses, but upgrading to 3mm hoses gives us a 125% increase in area, and possibly around double the airflow, maybe even more. So let's pop this new hat onto the valve housing and give her a whirl.
Alright, let's see how she does now. Oh, I forgot to lube the crank. I think it's welded itself. Yeah, these are little specks of plastic that flew off. Yeah, it's already a bit damaged, but we'll see if it'll run again. Whoa! What the hell? Okay, it's safe to assume this runs way better.
And while we're 3D printing parts, we may as well see if a flywheel with less air resistance will also help. I'd assume the LEGO wheel probably does produce some resistance at high speeds.
Alright, let's see how this flywheel runs. What? I don't know what that top speed was, but that sounded ridiculous. This is probably a dumb idea, but I just want to see if I can feel what the torque is like. Ow! Yeah, that's dumb. Feels pretty good though. That's why it was speeding up and slowing down. The bushing was starting to weld itself. Should have lubed this guy up.
Next, I want to know what length rod to use on the piston heads. Longer rods will open the valve earlier and will force it to open more at the top of the cycle. So my suspicion is that shorter rods might run faster, but with less torque produced per cycle. Let's test these gradually increasing piston rods to see if this is actually how it plays out. This rig here will allow us to test them by using a gear reduction to drive this white axle. As we turn the gears, the axle is twisted, providing a repeatable amount of resistance. So we can pop our engine into the rig, secure it, and we'll use a flywheel to store some of the engine's energy as it starts up. Resistance against the engine will build pretty quickly, so the flywheel will help us to keep the engine running during startup. Okay, let's test piston head number 1. And all tests will be done at exactly 40 psi. Each test will start with the red needle on the desk, providing a small amount of wound up energy to kickstart the engine.
Wow. One more time.
And as a reminder, piston head number 1 is our shortest rod. Okay, piston head 2.
One final time, piston head number 2.
This one seemed to work even better. Piston head 3.
Alright, one more time.
Interesting. Piston head 4. Not what I expected.
Okay.
Piston head 5. Even worse.
I really thought longer piston rods would have greater starting torque.
Very nice seal on the piston heads though. So here are our results, and it seems the second shortest rod was actually our champion for startup power. However, where these engines really work best is when they're at super high speeds. So to get our engines up to speed, we're going to use a clutch. This way we can rev the engine up to a high RPM and then gradually transfer the energy to our load. So as you can tell, I'm struggling to get this piston to even drive the wheel. It's sort of running, but I can feel a lot of backlash between the wheel and the engine. The trouble, I think, is the 1 to 5 gear down, which causes the rubber wheel to fight against the flywheel. As a result, the engine sounds like it's not running as fast as it should, and even when we engage the clutch, it's just not powerful enough to drive the rotor. Now you can see a lot of whiplash between the rubber wheel and the engine here. So I have some improvements in mind for our generator, but in the meantime, let's make a few more engine cylinders so we can eventually drive this with more than just one of them. The valve hats need a little sanding underneath, and then an O-ring snaps around its neck. Then for the valve itself, we cut a strip of rubber sheet that's sticky on one side, and these leaflets then will stiffen the rubber. We can pop a bunch of these leaflets onto the rubber. Now Katie and I have just moved to a new place and I have no idea where my scalpel is, so this massive chef's knife will have to do for cutting out our valve leaflets. A small dab of superglue goes into the valve housing on one side, and then we play Operation to carefully pop the leaflet into the indent in the housing. Now this flap here is our valve. The cylinder and housing, by the way, are made by simply drilling a couple of exhaust holes about here, one on each side. And then a few dabs of superglue go onto the Lego cylinder, and the printed valve housing pops right on top. And a dash more glue on the outside keeps everything airtight. Now in this video, we're going to build a sort of radial 4 engine, but I'm printing a bunch of these cylinders as I have some fun ideas for some future builds, including a sort of radial 8 that I've been working on. Let me know if you'd like to see that. And finally then, we top each valve with a hat.
Alright, I've made 3 big improvements here. First of all, I've added a much heavier flywheel here with almost twice the weight of the previous one. I think the slack between these two is causing a bit of springiness. And speaking of springiness, I've replaced all of the axles along the chain here with metal axles. That should reduce some of the twisting and whiplash between the flywheel here, the wheel here, and the rotor here. This flywheel now spins way smoother and with no whiplash between this one and the tire. And when we engage the clutch, this whole chain now feels way more responsive. No twisting or slack anywhere.
Okay, let's try her out using one of our fresh new engine cylinders, at about 35 psi.
Well, that bodes well. Hey.
Well, there we go, now she's purring. Pretty good considering this is just a single cylinder, and torque is much better now that we're able to get her up to a decent speed. The rubber wheel helps the flywheel store a bit more energy.
Okay, let's engage the clutch.
Even at low pressure, this is some impressive speed. And there we have it. It's completely impossible to run this without the clutch.
That is a great speed on the rotor.
But with this clutch, we can finally engage the load once the engine is producing a decent output. Though we do have to be quite careful engaging the clutch on a single-cylinder engine, as it still stalls if you engage it too quickly. I love that it sounds a bit like a truck idling away.
Awesome.
Well, one cylinder works fine, so why don't we double up?
Okay, we've got a simple 3D printed air splitter, and I've added a metal axle. Let's see how she does. Nice.
That's pretty nuts. What does the tachometer say we're getting? By the way, this is using just under 50 psi.
Yeah. Crazy.
What, bang on 12,000 RPM at only 50 psi? This definitely feels like a significant improvement over my old design. So, time to make our generator actually generate something. These 6 coils of 22 gauge wire will match our spinning magnet rotor, and I'll recycle this coil mount from a previous build. Our 6 coils pop onto the 6 axles.
Okay, now we've got our lovely 6 coils. We'll combine the short ends here, and the long ends will go into these 3 prongs on the rectifier here.
And this gives us a 3-phase output, which we'll measure using this voltmeter to test it under a small load. As we engage the clutch, the rotor spins into action, driving the voltmeter. Now, I didn't realize it at this point, but the rotor only moved into the close position towards the coils in the final few seconds, at which point the voltage jumped up to 18 volts, and probably could have gone much higher. So this configuration should be able to power some cool things.
That's pretty crazy.
Especially considering the coils are quite thick and have low resistance. So, let's try power this monstrous 12 volt 100 watt LED panel. We're not going to produce anywhere near 100 watts, but I bet we can still at least get some light out of it. Alright, it's go time. What a beautiful noise. And almost instantly, as soon as the clutch engages, the LED panel begins to glow brightly. My camera isn't doing justice to just how bright this panel is. Wow. I'm honestly pretty amazed at how much usable power we're getting out of only a 2-cylinder engine. By the way, if you like experiments like these with LEGO and technology, feel free to subscribe or drop a like. And my Patreon is linked below too. Cheers!
That is so cool.
Well, that was 2 cylinders, so let's double up yet again. Now, this isn't quite a radial 4 config, but instead, we have 2 pairs of 2 cylinders, which will converge on a central axle via some small gears. This way, all 4 cylinders sort of behave like a radial 4 engine. You can see each piston sequentially driving the central axle.
Let's make you nice and secure. Okay, I've lubed up everything I can find along here.
So, let's see her run.
And we'll run it at about 30 psi, fairly low. Alright, let's see.
Now, as you can see here, I didn't even notice we lost a couple of cylinders.
It sounded like it was running a bit slow. Looks like we've lost the top 2 cylinders. Pretty impressive that I was running off just 2.
If I pop off the flywheel, we can push the gear back into place.
Okay, let's try that again.
With this vibration and the loose gears, we definitely need a minor engine redesign. Now, this design keeps the gears well meshed, and it can't slide around. We can also pick from different firing patterns for the engine. But I'm sticking with this 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence to keep the output as smooth as possible with a good torque ramp.
Alright, let's see how she runs.
And torque?
Ow! Wow, that's some good torque.
Wow, I love watching all 4 pistons working together here. But we are splitting our air source between 4 pistons, which will almost certainly reduce top speed. So what are we getting at 40 psi? About 3,500 RPM, which is impressive given how much torque it has. And speaking of torque, can it drive something heavy like this prop, which will also provide more resistance as it speeds up? Let's see. Well, it certainly spools up pretty well given the weight of it, and it responds pretty quickly too. This reminds me a lot of the radial engines in airplanes.
Oh, that's a lovely breeze. Very loud though.
Well, not the most relaxing desktop fan I've made, but you can just pretend you're inside a helicopter. Okay, well, let's put this power to use in our generator. We already know the torque is going to be good, but we're sacrificing quite a lot of top speed. So, let's try it with the clutch open. Oh yeah, immediate power. Okay, here goes the clutch. Also an excellent transfer.
You know, I wonder, can I just start this whole thing with the clutch fully engaged? Let's see.
Yeah, this thing has so much torque, we don't even need the clutch anymore. That makes using this so much easier.
Yup. Don't even need the clutch. Now, even though this 4-cylinder engine has way more torque, it doesn't have as much speed. So I'm not sure I have enough speed to light this thing. Let's see just what voltage we're getting.
Well, it looks like we're getting between 6 and 7 volts at 45 psi. So it's not going to power our LED panel.
Pretty good for USB powered things though. I'm going to try and measure the phone's energy usage using this app here called Ampere.
Hopefully it's at least ballpark accurate.
Alright, let's give this a try.
As our generator spins up, you can hear it suddenly respond to the electrical load as the phone starts drawing power. Now, I've no idea how accurate this Ampere app is, or if it's measuring the total balance between energy consumption and charging, but we seem to be generating at least 3 watts of usable electrical power. Not bad. Having these thick coils with low resistance certainly seems to help.
Okay, this is the final test I wanted to do, and I had to wait until filming was finished so it doesn't matter if this thing explodes or breaks. I want to know just how fast I can get this 2-cylinder engine to run. So my plan is to start low on here and then gradually turn it up until something breaks. My theory is that if I start with a low pressure and then gradually ramp it up, I shouldn't have to worry about these hoses popping off because as the engine starts running, the air will start flowing through them, preventing the pressure from backing up here.
I sure am glad I'm hiding under the desk for this bit. I'll admit, my heart was racing a bit, hoping nothing would fly off and shatter a window or something. But as it turns out, the hosing did actually pop off at a certain point. I did try binding them to the air ports using some string, but it popped off again. Let me know if you can recommend a way of keeping the hoses on. I'd love to push this harder. So in the end, 14,600 RPM is our top speed, and at least it's reaching these speeds at pressures that standard LEGO pneumatics work in. Well, let me know what to use this engine on in the future, and if you'd like to see an 8-cylinder engine like this sort of radial setup. Cheers, folks.